Hello, this is Nicholas Tanek with friends.com, and oh my God, do I have a magnificent, a wonderful guest with me tonight. Um, oh, we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff. We're gonna talk about Melbourne. We'll talk about latex. We'll talk about CBT. Of course, we're going to talk about impact play. We're going to talk about sissy slut training. Um, you know, little anal play, little humiliation. Please welcome from all the way from Melbourne, the magnificent. Bow down, everybody, to Mistress Misty. Say hi.
You. Thank you for having me. You're too kind. That was a great intro. Too kind.
Oh my God, no, you're awesome. All right, let's just the best way to start is from the beginning, right? Um, everybody's got their first kind of story of coming out as a kinky person. Sometimes it's just with one person, like a lover, a partner, or whatever. Sometimes it's at a party. Sometimes it's at a dungeon. Sometimes it's at a munch. What was your very first time you were like, I'm proud and I'm kinky?
Um, my background in coming into the sex industry was I was stripping. So I think the universe help you meet people you're supposed to connect with, and it just so happened I made a very good friend, um, and he was a rope top. He calls himself a technical rope top. He was very, very good at it. And I already had kinky interest. I told him that I like corsets and the imagery of high heels and toes and fingers. And he's like, "Oh well, come to a kink event with me and see what it's like and check it out." And he kind of hinted to me and said, "I think you belong in this realm." And so at the same time, simultaneously, I had a girlfriend who, what were we doing? We went to a bar, and her aesthetic was more, way darker and more wild than me. Like, she definitely already had the Dommy wardrobe. I just had the boots. But somehow, must be the personal energy. We had a lifestyle slave who threw himself at us, at the two of us. And she's Malaysian Chinese and Cantonese Chinese. So then he asked us to do stuff at this kinky thing where my friend brought us to. Yeah. And that was like a little intro to the rabbit hole. And then later on, when I actively went to kink event, started bottoming as a rope bottom for this friend of mine, I think that's when I kind of, the pin dropped. And you're like, okay.
Okay. Let me ask you this. I'm always curious about this. I've been curious about there's certain fetishes about racism, and if you don't want to answer this, is fine. But there are a lot of white men who love Asian women. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, why do you think that is? I mean, trust me, I I got a thing for Asian women too. But why do you think that is?
Um, I think it's the whole notion. I'm not quite sure, but there is definitely culturally, I feel, where they think we are more demure, supposedly, like the
Okay,
A
interesting.
good Asian wife is supposed to be good looking, very feminine, very demure, very much servicing the man. And then I found in this realm, we get pushed to the other extreme where they're like, oh, she's supposed to be so nice, but no, she's so mean, you know. So
There's
suggest
nothing hotter to me. There's nothing. I have a friend named Emperor, the Empress, who is the Asian Empress, and she's mean as hell. She's mean as like she's nice to me because she's a friend,
yeah.
but like there's definitely something that like I understand why. I mean, like she actually her role play is that she runs a country.
That's great.
Yeah, she's great. The Empress. Shout out to the Empress. Okay, so I'm now. I'm curious about this. How'd you get? First of all, before I get to the second question, how did you get started in being a professional dominatrix?
Oh, okay. Um, so I went through a period where I think I got a bit obsessive with going to kink event, and I just remember going to different workshops, and many many kinksters' advice was be a sponge, just like soak up everything. And I wasn't going in there as the evolved Mistress Misty now. I was a rope bottom, and I like being a voyeur, and so I was very, very quiet. So I come across super submissive because I was quiet and I wasn't really interested in people's ego. I just was there to learn. I did a lot of rope. I bottomed a lot as a rope demo and exploring rope, and so I met other pro doms, um, notably Mistress Electra and Mistress Miko in the scene. And I remember Mistress Electra, every time she walked in, she was like dressed to the nines. She had the like Supreme Dom outfit and, just hot, just really, really hot. And I didn't really quite understand what a pro Dom was at that point in time. And as I go to event, as I got into the scene more and more, I start to realize, oh, it's a thing, it's a profession. You do this as a profession, and so I had it in my mind that I have to use the term coitus with everybody. So I thought that was a prerequisite of to become a pro dom, and I wasn't really okay with that. Not because not because personally in my personal life that I'm a prude, but commercially I was not. It's not my bag.
And that's one thing that people should know. That's one thing people should know. A lot of pro doms, they do not have sex with their clients. A lot of them don't. Some peg them. Some make them jerk off. But they I'd say 90% don't have sex with the clients at all. Yeah, at all. So, all right, wait, another curious thing. I'm always curious about this. Your very first time, your very first session, what did you do? Because no one gets it right the first time. You know what I mean? No one gets it right the first time. So, and that's okay. It's okay. You know, so tell us about the first time you ever gave a session. You don't have to go into crazy detail, but if you want, you can. But what would you do better?
Oh, okay. Wait. Let me just wrap up the last question. So,
Okay.
going to the scene before, and I met this slave, a lifestyle slave that's been volunteering in the scene for years, called Frank. And so I spoke to Frank about wanting to be a pro dom. I spoke to these other two mistresses, and they said to me, honey, no, you can do whatever you like. You're a dom. You can choose however you want to work, whatever you want to work. So I was like, yay! My mind, wow. So Frank at that time was working at the dungeon, and so he's like, call up a range of interviews. So that's what I did, and then went there, did the interview, got the job, and I was like, and so then at that point in time, the lady who runs the dungeon, because she can see all the different sessions coming in, and she said, I'm gonna start off with the easy one. And I remember my very first session was a foot fetish session. Yeah. Because we've talked about my experience in the scene and how I was doing trampling and attracted a few foot slave. She's like, yeah, you got this. Don't worry. Just go in there. Gave me um, the crash course in how to do it in a commercial way, like negotiate, take payment, and then off we go. And I'll be very honest, I don't remember much detail from that session, except that I had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So let's talk about feet for a second, because we get a lot of feet people, feet with foot fetish. You know, if the foot fetish seems like the most, how do I say, the most popular, one of the most popular commercial and accepted fetishes, as opposed to, say, cuckolding, sissification, pegging, wax play, knife play, or anything like that. Why do you think the foot fetish is so popular as opposed to the other ones?
I think maybe it's the image, how very femme women are portrayed with high heels. Maybe it's that, have some cultural influence, but in a like East Asian culture, or some Asian culture, feet is seen to be like a dirty thing. So in Thai culture, you wouldn't point your feet at someone when you sit, and you wouldn't point it at their head, and you would take your shoes off when you enter a temple or a house. So I think some of that maybe like a collective influence of.
Now, there are some women who make their feet very, very pretty, and their feet want to be worshipped. But then there's the other kind of side of the spectrum where they want it really dirty, like the step in like dirt and food and stuff like that. What's your style?
The pretty, but I've been asked to do the dirty.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Okay, all right. Let's go to a very, very different topic that we've never talked about on this show, and that's scuba diving.
Oh, cool.
Okay, you scuba diving has helped you in BDSM. Please expand on that. I need to know.
God, I actually had to reread my curriculum in when I did my training. Oh God, sorry, that's my cat.
That's fine. I do it lo-fi punk rock style, so there's no sound effects or titles or anything like that. It's yeah.
Okay, just for the people. Okay, for people who are not familiar with diving, you do. It's a bit of a process to get to dive master qualification. So there is. Anyway, you can look that up. So when you get to the dive master level, you have to do advanced, they call it advanced diver, and then a rescue diver. You have to pass rescue at 100%, or you retake the test before you do dive masters. So in that, not only you have to accumulate actual underwater dive experience, but the curriculum that they teach in rescue is really valuable, I find, especially when you're doing harder play like waterboarding, breath play, really, really heavy bondage, things that you would put someone in physiological stress, because that's what you learn about as a rescue diver, their respiratory system and how oxygen affects the brain and how adrenaline affects someone, whether they're flight or like the effect of shock, how you treat shock. In risk management, what else? Aware of the environment and potential risks. And I find it was good for negotiation because this is what they do in rescue that I highly advocate when I teach. Because sometimes people hook up and you're operating on a pseudonym. Like you don't even know this person's real name. You don't know their phone number. You don't know what to do in emergency. So in rescue, what they teach you on the water is they actually mapped out many, many escape routes. I shouldn't say escape route, emergency route, which is if someone is in trouble, they calculate the time for the boat to get to shore, to meet the ambulance, to get to the closest hospital. So in the kink realm, I found it's good to have a plan A, B, C, D, E, F. Examples I give to other people, and fisting class is, what if you can't find the keys? What if you can't drive their car because it's a manual car? What if they don't have health insurance? Do you call Uber for them? Like, do you drive? Do they drive? Are they going to give you your emergency contact? Can you call their wife, partner, other partner, somebody? Do you get someone to help? Like maybe that they are not out, then you have to drive them to the emergency, and then you say your goodbyes and be like, I'll check in on you later because we've agreed that that's it for me. Like I've taken care of you to this point, and then because you don't want to be outed, I step away, but I'll check in again tomorrow, or 2 hours, something like that.
A scuba diving dominatrix session, that's something very original.
For me, it's just heavy sensory depth. And if you
okay. So all right, let's talk sensory deprivation. Floating is something that's really big. Have you ever done that?
In the tank, you mean?
Yeah.
In a float tank? No, because I get it from scuba diving.
Okay. Yeah, it's fun. It's really relaxing. It's very relaxing.
I was a personal slave that tried it, but he said he didn't give me very encouraging words because he said that it was quite noisy when he went because it was also a tanning salon that had the float tank.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, if anybody could do that, find a really quiet.
Yeah. The place I went to is very, very, very quiet. Okay, let's. All right, so Mistress, Misty, latex. Let's talk about latex. How do you take care of it?
God, in Australia, where the summer gets really, really hot, pick a room where it's out of the sun, because even indirect heat from your windows, I swear, melts your stuff, and wash it after you wear it, because I find that salt from your sweat would deteriorate your latex as well. And also the many different type of lube that we use, or latex polish, silicone lube, yeah, they also degrade your latex. So I would say wash it really well, and then my color latex, I would actually put baking paper to protect the color as well, because sometimes there's a color transfer between like my black latex to my I'll ruin creamy like bright white latex just by putting other color close to it.
Oh my
Like,
God, I can't even imagine wearing white latex. I destroy that in a day. So what is it about? Like I trust me, I understand the love of latex. What is it that you personally like about latex?
number one is the visual aspect of shine. It just looks spectacular. Secondly, would be the feel of tightness of L, like a
Okay. All right. Let's. All right. We're gonna get dirty here. Okay. So let's talk about CBT. CBT is cock and ball torture. Off the top of your head, what's the most brutal thing you've done?
oh,
Yeah, yeah. You go there. Go there.
okay, so God, I had to think about this long and hard because there's so many things professionally. Can I tell two stories?
Yeah, sure. This is laid back. Like I said, lo-fi punk rock style. This is laid back shit.
First one, I used to have very early on in my doming career, pro doming career. I have a gentleman who was very, very fit. He was so fit. He had a six pack. He worked out every day. He ran marathons. Yeah. And so he played really hard. So he used to let me hang him by the ankle, suspend him by the ankles upside down, completely lifted off the floor, and then put, um, what was it, Zeus? Anyway, tens machine on him, zap him. So he would go so far.
Wait, a what machine?
A tens machine?
What is that?
Electric. What does it stand for? Can't remember what tens stand for. Okay, so it's like you can put like patches on you and make the muscle twitch. You know those infomercial that sells
Oh
those
yeah. Okay.
great apps that you stick these on because it's gonna tense your muscle. So medically they use it to relax your muscles and help your muscles heal. Yeah. But
Yeah, sure
like
that works.
I find in the pro doming world we have things like electric conductive rubber band that goes around your cock and ball area, and then we just zap you with it. Yeah. So this gentleman let me hang him upside down, zap him until he twitches like a dead frog, and then because I'm sick in the head, adding to the scene, so I bought those electric bug swatter that are battery operated.
Oh, we just got one.
Yeah, go in Australia later on, but when I got them, they were like a. So the later version had a protective screen on them, so you can't whack someone with it, whatever. And the original version just had lines of metal coils, like Venetian blinds, and that was like that. So I would just hit him with it, hit him on the cock and the balls with it.
Yeah, we have a like it's like a tennis racket.
Yes, that.
Yeah, look at that. Every time you go, you go. All right, so what's the second story?
Oh God, this gentleman, he was teaching me. God, he was very, very into castration, heavy castration fan, and so he would bring in a castrate, like an animal or bull castrator. And so he would let you put multiple castrating bands on him and leave it there for up to an hour until, I swear, until his blue turns really, really blue. Really blue. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's pretty crazy. Okay, so let's talk because we're talking about CBT. Let's talk impact play. There's whips, there's floggers, there's switches, there's you name it. It's all there's paddles. What's your personal favorite?
Whips.
Whips, like long whips.
I'm not that tall, so my longest whip is 4 foot.
That's a pretty long whip. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, and then there's also, and the people are gonna love this one. Sissy slut training.
Oh, that's
So let me start from the beginning with this one. There are a lot of men who are either in marriages or partnerships or they have girlfriends or whatever, where they're just so afraid or they feel shame, that they want to be sissy sluts. All right. What advice would you give to them?
Pardon?
What advice would you give to them?
Ditch the toxic male masculinity and really get in touch with who you are. Yeah, don't be so confined in the binary, because in many cultures I find that in Western culture they really fit you into the female and male role, and to the point that women and guys perpetuate how you're supposed to be. Like, oh, you're a woman, you have to do this. You're a guy, you have to do this. And part of it, it's toxic. Toxic. It doesn't let you really get in touch with, like, it's almost, you get shamed if you want to get in touch with your masculine side or your feminine side. And that, I don't understand why that is something to shame someone for or shame yourself for. But then, I'm openly very kinky, so hey.
Okay. And trust me, like, this is more of a journalistic thing. This is not. I'm not looking for a session or anything like that. Just so you know. Let's say I have no experience, and I want to explore this side of me, and I go to you. What happens?
For the dress up part?
Yeah, for the sissy slut. Yeah, for the sissy slut training.
Okay. I've given this a lot of thought in recent years because I have who are transgendered, non-binary, and so the point I'm trying to make is I no longer do this type of thing where you are doing it to humiliate yourself. Yeah. So I don't want you to see, oh, I'm less, I'm being emasculated, therefore I'm pretending to be a woman. Because that to me is humiliating to women, especially strong women, especially when you come to the dungeon and you're paying a strong woman to do that to you, So now I can only do it in my mind, which is, if you're going to say that you are another thing that in a power dynamic, you're less than a woman. You're not trying to be a woman anymore. And if you are, if I talk to someone and they feel like they are tiptoeing on the verge of exploring or leaning into being trans, then I'm like, look, I don't think the humiliating type of session is what you should do. More like nurturing your femininity is what I'm comfortable to help you with. Yeah. Where it's more like a celebration rather than, oh, I'm denied being this thing and therefore I punish myself in my psyche, then to bring out this taboo thing that I really want to be or get in touch with. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
it's still a mind, like there's a lot of gender stuff that doesn't sit well with me in this type
yeah,
of place.
yeah. Some people don't like the word sissification. They like the word forced feminization, or the phrase. It's everyone's different.
And if force, it's not force. You're giving me permission to do this to you, like
Oh,
the
of
role.
course, but no. But the thing is, that it's like the role play of being forced. You know
Totally.
what I mean? It's not. You're not really forced. You're not really forced at all.
So I was
Like I'm sure there's porn that that like acts it out as a forced thing, but the people who like it, like they're not really forced. They want to act. They want to feel like they're forced. You know what I mean? They want to feel. So one of the things when it comes to forced feminization or sissification, however you want to, you know, say it, um, is chat. Are you okay?
yeah, sorry.
That's cool.
So,
One of the things, it's not like mandatory for everybody, but it's very popular when it comes to forced feminization and sissification is chastity. So, do you have anybody in chastity right now?
no, not at the moment.
Okay. All right. And one of the one of the things. All right, let's get dirty. Anal play. Anal play.
Can I
There's
just tell you about? Can I just tell you a story about chastity?
Oh, please do. Yeah, we'll get to anal play later.
So a personal slave of mine was really into chastity. So the longest he was confined for was a month because he was his thing was logical. He was someone who really get off on the suffering of being in chastity. Yeah. Um, so after a month, we had agreed date for me to release him, and I lost the key. I lost the key. There was
Wait,
only
so
one.
this was an in person. This wasn't online.
No, no, it wasn't online. Yeah. So I lost the key, and I was panicking, and this person was not panicking, and he was actually be like, no, it's fine, I'll just stay in the chastity for longer. And I'm like, no, because in my mind we agreed to 2 weeks, and he pushed it to a month. So by the time a month was up, I was like, oh no, I don't want this responsibility of
It is, yes, it's a responsibility.
damaging someone for forever. So what do? Luckily, the professional dungeon had a what's it called? One of those big thing that cuts locks.
Bolt cutters.
Yes, they had those, and I insisted on cutting the lock to get him out of it because I never had someone in chastity for a month, and I'm like, what is it doing to him? Like, what about the cleaning? I'm like, it's just too much. It was making me panic.
Okay, so when it comes to chastity, what's the longest you had someone in? 2 months? Was it 2 months?
1 month. 1 month.
Okay. All right. And what do you prefer? Plastic, silicone, or metal?
Um, Plastic and metal.
Plastic and metal. Okay. All right. Now you mentioned your dungeon. I'm always curious about dungeons. There are different rooms. There are different toys. So there's the St. Andrew's Cross. There's the metal clip playroom. There's cages and stuff like that. What is your personal favorite?
Bondage.
Bondage, meaning rope or ties or cuffs.
My preferences are heavy bondage, so ropes, suspension, saline wraps. Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's fair enough. All right, let's talk about anal play. so, so there are people who are really scared of anal play. You know what I mean? I mean, like I've dealt with it. I have I'm in the communities, you know. I don't do it all the time, but like I'm okay. Um, but for someone who has no experience at all with anal play, whether it's with a dominatrix or with their girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever, you know, they whatever gender they identify with, um, you know, um, what what advice would you give to them? Someone who has no experience at all.
Mm. Play with yourself at home. Start with small things, and lots of lube, and and clean up really well. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, very.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, and okay. One of the things you do is humiliation. One of the things you do is humiliation. So there's, of course, there's sadism and cock and ball stuff, but humiliation, a lot of it deals in public humiliation, and it doesn't really have to be public. But what is off the top of your mind? What are what is one of the most humiliating things you've ever done to somebody? And of course, keep in mind, everybody, this is consensual. This is not, yeah, like this Mistress Misty is just not just humiliating people for no reason. people people ask her.
Um, Commercially, it was a client who had to masturbate in front of a bunch of mistresses hazing him. Yeah.
That's pretty hot. that's pretty. That's pretty.
I was amazing, amazing doms. So
That's. Oh my god, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now you're from Melbourne, Melbourne, Australia. Um, have you traveled outside Australia?
yeah. So sometimes it's a dive holiday, sometimes it's a dive kinky holiday. Um, so London, Canada, US, Japan, Thailand, Philippines, Malaysia.
Yeah. Okay. So how would
Hawaii.
you say? Uh, I've been to Hawaii. How would you say that Melbourne is different? And I'm not saying anything bad about the other countries. How would you say that Melbourne is different than the BDSM scene? How would you say that Melbourne is different from those other countries? I'm sorry, it cut out.
Compared to the
You cut out again. Saying to any of
pardon?
yeah. How is Melbourne different than any of those other countries that you traveled
Oh, so I think compared to the US, Canada, and London, it's on par. Uh, but I think Canada, US, London have more a deeper kink history than Australia. I feel like Australia is still very new because it's a very new country, and therefore I feel like um, since I was a lifestyle bottom to both pro dom and see the kink scene and the kink event grow, I think we've still got a long way to go, and it's very multicultural.
Interesting. Okay. Now we're gonna trust me. We're gonna make it real fun and silly, but I want to get a little low and serious for a second. Okay. Um, this doesn't have to be kink related. This pandemic, this worldwide pandemic, has been affected everybody, not just workers, but just you know everybody. Um, how are you dealing with it?
Uh, I it's been challenging at times, but I feel naturally a bit more introverted. So I don't I miss my close friends, but I don't miss the crowds. And so I've been doing online classes, organizing every little thing at home, and trying to have a nurture in hibernation time because in Australia we just have the winter. It's spring now. Yeah. So it's been a quiet hibernating winter.
That reminds me that you're an educator, right? Tell us about that. Tell us about um, because we need people like you. We need people who educate other people, and that's what we're trying to do here with this. You know what I mean? But tell us about any classes or any education thing that you do.
And part of what COVID affected is one big goals in Melbourne called the Ausking Fest. I think you might have other presenters that before, and the lady who put it together, uh, I'm like an OG person who's seen event that 600 people go to, and now it's 60,000 plus more people go. It gets big, big, and so we missed out on that this year. When in the 2 weeks that invite international presenters like Lee Harrington and many other rope talks, people from Russia, everywhere, or workshops, like an intensive weekend that you can go to 9 hour classes back to back, which is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, every night, so the weekends, part of the weekend is really good because you could have a day of classes, then a kinky event at night, and another day of classes, and another kinky event at night, and then Sunday, the last, another 3 classes. That's really, but it's good fun. good rush. I like it. What I teach there. So originally, I got a mistress that I worked with used to do beginner anal work, and so she found that it 1 year interest. I didn't want to just regurgitate what she was saying, like the pre-person. So I started. I do a lot of this, and I started a little bit heavier and vaginal, and found that in the city, there's a lot of people who there's a gap in this education, in the education of these topics, and very well received. It's amazing. Like probably the last 2 years, I walk in class with myself and ask them, so this is meant to be like intro 101. We don't want to do that. Go straight to the heavier stuff. Tell us about vagina. No, sorry, anal. That's probably the one.
Okay. Last two sections. First section is rapid fire recommendations. They don't have to be kink related. Okay. Recommend a film.
Can it be like a YouTube short film?
Like a film.
Film. Oh, R100. It's a Japanese
100.
film.
Oh,
It's
I got to check that out. I love Japanese films. Okay. Recommend a book.
It's really fun. Oh, um, this. Oh,
Oh, I got to check that out.
yeah.
That looks good.
And because it's, how should I say? For me as the dom who really appreciate other people that have taught me the lineage of mistresses, I think this is amazing. Yeah.
I got to check that out. I will definitely check that out. All right. Recommend a song.
5 by Cookie Kawaii.
Okay. Recommend a television show.
Lock and Key.
Okay. Recommend a meal.
Pardon?
A meal.
Oh, me. Portuguese lobster cheesy noodles. It's a Cantonese dish, really.
That sounds awesome. I love lobster. Oh my god. That's all right. So the final, before we get to the plugs, the final thing is this is kind of a word game, right? So you say 3 things that you love, but they all have to have the same first letter in the word. Okay. 3 things that you love. That's the rule. 3 things that you love. They all have the same letter in the word. Not all of them has to be kink related, but one of them does.
Okay. Oh no.
Just go.
Oh really? I thought you were gonna give me an alphabet. Sorry.
No, you can choose any letter you want.
Fisting. Fist. No, it's the same thing. Okay. Fisting, flying, and flakes.
All right, let's wait. Before we get to the plugs, let's talk about fisting for a second. All right. What advice would you give to somebody either fisting somebody or getting fisted?
Oh, okay. Hmm. Okay. If you're fisting someone, I would say get get bigger toys because your arm's gonna fall off. Like I'm not talking about bigger toys that are like this size. I'm talking about bigger toys that are like this size. Yeah. And for the one being fisted, lots of practice. Use lots of lube, lots of practice. Be very relaxed about it. Don't actually one that applies to both, which is don't be so goal orientated. Yeah, like it's the journey. You know, if you rush it and in your mind you're just like, oh, just gotta get it in, just gotta get it in. That can work against you.
All right. All right. Mistress Misty, please take this time. I'm gonna first of all, I gotta write this down for the intro. The journey of fisting. That kind of sounds like a porn Lord of the Rings. Well, all right. Mistress Misty, you have been absolutely amazing. Please stay on the line after we're done. Okay. Um, I will not waste your time because one of the main rules is never waste a dom's time. Ever.
Yeah, that's great.
People, don't waste a dom's time. And I won't waste yours, trust me. Um, all right. So, but take this time to promote yourself. If you have Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, you name it, whatever it is, FetLife, go.
Okay, you can find me on FetLife, Misty Latex, Twitter. I think it's also Misty Latex. One Insta also. So especially with Insta, because my last account, because of censorship that is going on Instagram, got deleted, and it was so sad. I think I lost many contacts and friends because my account was deleted. So please, please, please add me. Keep following people and build a network. Yeah.
And support Mistress Misty, please. She's amazing. And support Melbourne.
Thanks
And
for it's been a
oh,
pleasure.
thank you for having me. Um, I'm Nicholas Tanek at yourkinkyfriends.com. You can find me on Twitter at Nicholas Tanek. You can find me on Instagram at Nick Tanek. You can find me, you can find us. It's a group account at Friends Kinky on Instagram and Friends Kinky on Twitter. We have a Patreon. We have a Patreon. We're going to have some really fun content coming up soon. So you just go to patreon.com/YKF. Like I said, Mistress Misty, please stay on the line. And it's getting late. My dom is calling me. And remember the cardinal rule, everybody. Be cool, be kind, and keep an open mind. Take care.